So I'm a liar. I'm a liar in the sense that 3 months ago, I think 4 now by the time I upload this video, I said that I was gonna come with a crafting video, and then I never did that. Usually when I do an art challenge video like this one, I like to plan them in advance. I didn't want to do mythological creatures because I did that last year. And I didn't want to do just plain old mythology. I looked up weapons mostly, or mythological objects, or, you know, things that aren't necessarily central characters and they aren't creatures. And that was mainly my very loose theme for this year. So if you're here and you want to see all 31 drawings that I did for this year's Mythological May, please stick around. I am going to be telling you guys about my process, and then I'm going to have them here on the screen. That's the plan for today. So the first prompt is the word scythe, and admittedly I did not stray that hard from my original plans. I think of scythe and the first thing that comes to mind is the Grim Reaper and Maka from Soul Eater. That's what's on my Pinterest board. That's what you're getting. I tried not to do like fan art or anything. I did try to come up with my own version, but it's pretty simple. It's the Grim Reaper and it's a scythe. I even tried to like do sketches of different kinds of scythes, but ultimately I thought classic, standard, that's cute, we're keeping that. Don't overcomplicate it. Scythe. This is pretty much the only thing I drew, and then I used this for journaling space. So, you know, not much is different. I didn't really tweak much after I scanned it in. Word number 2 was mace, and admittedly I was at a loss because when I wrote down the word mace, there were a couple of mythological ones that I could look into, but for some reason in my head, when I think of the word mace, I was primarily thinking of like those old school weapons that you see in medieval core movies that aren't necessarily accurate. And for some reason, the Wikipedia search on mythological maces wasn't speaking to me either. I don't know. It felt like it was kind of like a boring weapon. I know that it can be cute. I've seen it. I know that it's possible, but for some reason for me, wasn't working. So I tried to find a way to make it more whimsical and more my style, but I couldn't figure out what else to do. I wanted to like theme it basically. And so I drew a bunch of different kinds, and the favorite one was this one that I did inspired by a disco ball. And so I called it the disco mace. I did try to stick to the music genre one, so I eventually settled on a disco mace. I like that I made it look like a lightsaber. It's a punk mace, and I tried to do a country mace, even though it's not really something that I'm that knowledgeable about. And obviously the disco mace is still the favorite one, but I like the 3 of them together on my sketchbook because I just didn't want the page to just be that one thing. Oh, and for materials, because I like to tell you guys which materials I used on each page, for the most part, all of the ones in my sketchbook I used a pen. I don't really know the brand, but it's just a regular fine tip pen that you get in like office supply stores. I think you can just use a regular pen that you know won't bleed too much if you go over it with like a highlighter, which I also used. I also used coloring pencils, Posca pens if I wanted like a very specific kind of highlight, or if I didn't want to waste a bunch of ballpoint pen, I just wanted to like go over it, and whiteout. The next one was Mjolnir. To this day, I can't pronounce Thor's hammer. I wanted to keep it really simple because when I did my research, I looked at medieval Norse drawings, Norse art, and I really like the sort of patterning that it's in a lot of them, but I am not very much into line art, and so I ended up just doing it in pen, and I personally really like how it came out. I think what sells it is the little circle that I did in the back with just pen and a highlighter, because originally it was just really boring looking. But for the most part, I'm very happy with myself for making something simple that I actually like, because in case you can't tell, I tend to overdo it. The next one is Elixir of Life. I got a lot of stuff about alchemy. I got this little rabbit that's in Chinese mythology. I thought he was really cool. I wanted to incorporate him onto like the bottle cap, but none of my sketches really, they didn't look good. I don't know. So I ended up just going for like a regular potion bottle. For a ring, I actually looked at a lot of different references. I looked at a lot of rings in like mythology or in like classic lit or something, but I had so many references that I didn't just want to draw one ring. But when I looked at all of my little references for rings, I thought it would be really cool if it was like kind of like a wizard's hand just decked in like magic rings. And so I have like this one that's like a little face. I like to think it's the soul of an enemy and that it's full of anguish. This man is evil, by the way. I have this one ring that connects to like a nail and you can see bone through it. So I'm just gonna pretend that he lost a whole ass finger and that this ring just kind of gives him another appendage. Then I have this ring that looks like a skull, and this ring on top of it is supposed to represent the skull's like brains, because I saw a ring that was like really like hard looking ruby. I don't know how anyone would wear that, but I think the torture is part of it, you know? I don't know what powers that ring has, but I think hurting you is a sacrifice you're gonna have to make. I have this one ring that looks like it's like decaying or like cracking. Once again, don't know why he has that. I have this one really skinny ring because I feel like it's probably doing something that you're not expecting. I like to think that the really skinny ring is like one that he can like twist and do something to somebody else, Darth Vader style. And then we have this like bug ring, and I like to think it's alive and it can come off his hand whenever he needs to spy on somebody. Skipping a few pages to get to the next prompt, and that is shield. I did an entire page over here. You guys can see them here, obviously. But when it came to shields, it was kind of another one where it's kind of like Mace, where I gave myself too vague a prompt, and I tried to figure out how I can make it whimsical or how I can make up my own thing. I think this one was more successful than Mace because I can kind of see these being attached to a character that I can invent later on down the line. But basically, I just kind of wanted to think of what a cool like magical shield could be that isn't tied to any one specific mythology. And so what I ended up coming up with was a sun. In my head, it's just this very shiny like sun, and you can see like the circular like rainbow around it. I did a star because I thought it would be really cool if it was like an angel with like a star shield. I did a dragon scale shield, and I did a flesh shield. This one is incredibly impractical, and I think the only reason anyone would use it would be if they were some kind of demon, vampire freak character who's trying to psych you out, because it's bleeding. I drew a dripping blood, like the arrow does not break, it just kind of sticks into what I assume are intestines, and the outside is bones. I don't know why I drew this. Right on the next page is the next prompt, which is dagger. Once again, I tried to give myself a very vague prompt, and I think in this case it succeeded because I had a very clear idea of what I wanted straight from the start. Obviously, I looked at references of other daggers and stuff, but for some reason I really wanted a dagger that had kind of like a figurine like on top, because I really like when it's got like something on it. One of the things that I saw was one that was like a horse head, or one that I saw was one that was like an angel. Eventually just kind of settled on this like praying lady. Is it specific to like literally anything? No. I also wasn't really caring all that much if the head covering was realistic to literally anything. I just wanted to have like a figure of like a praying lady. I used a pink fine point pen, like the ones that I was talking about beforehand. Most of these are the same pen, by the way. I used a pink one, and I didn't think it was gonna look all that good because when I started using it, I thought it was gonna be darker, and it was just a really light pink color, but it really worked when you like layered stuff on top of it, and I love the way that it looked. I kept using that same pen over and over again after this one. I used coloring pencil, I used a green highlighter, and I used a red Posca pen. Up next is Pandora's box. I tried to do like the Greek amphora style for this one, so it's not in my sketchbook. I did it on my laptop. I'm gonna be really honest with you, I prefer the sketch. I prefer the sketch. I think it has more charm than what I ended up actually doing. So I think I might redo this one again. But I like the stylization. I really wanted to try to figure out how I could match my own style with like the style that you can see on ancient Greek amphoras, because they're very like simplistic and I am usually not. I will say, however, though, I am very proud of myself because I eyeballed that pattern on the bottom. It looks really good. Skipping ahead to the 9th prompt, I did it digitally, so it's not in here. And I don't think I'm gonna clip it in here either. It's too wide. But basically I did it on my iPad, I did it on Procreate, and it is obviously inspired by Christian imagery, but you could argue that there's forbidden fruit everywhere. I also looked at pomegranates, like in Greek mythology, like Persephone. The golden apple, also in Greek mythology. Yeah, I looked at a lot of like fae foods, things like that. But ultimately, you know, when I think of forbidden fruit, I'm thinking of the serpent, I'm thinking of the Garden of Eden. But I will say I tried to come up with my own fruit. I don't like it when people are doing the story of Adam and Eve and it's a very like obvious fruit that we eat today. I don't like it when it's a fig. I don't like it when it's just a regular red apple. I really wanted to like invent a fruit that does not exist here because it's in the garden. We don't eat it. We can't consume it. And so I was trying to like make a fake fruit that doesn't exist. I have a lot of pictures of really random colorful fruits, of like random tropical fruits, weird looking fruit, like spiky fruit, or fruit that I've never seen before in my life. I looked at plants. I combined those like transparent looking lily of the valley flowers with grapes and with starfruit, I think. And I have a bunch of other pictures of fruit in general, so I could see like the way that light goes through it. But for the most part, I wanted it to kind of be like dangling, like very easy to like pick off the tree if you really wanted to. I wanted it to be like, I wanted it to feel like easy to do. Will this be a sticker? I don't think so. I think it's too niche. I don't think anyone would like walk up to my booth and like look at that and go, give me that sticker of random fruit that I can't identify. So on the same page as dagger is the next prompt, which is key. Very simple looking key. I don't know if I'll ever turn it into a sticker, but I personally really like it. It's just a standard key. I think I drew it in the pink pen that I mentioned earlier, and then I used a blue highlighter, and then I used a red Posca pen to draw the blood because I was thinking of Bluebeard when I decided to add key into the prompt list. Would anyone actually like it as a sticker? I would like it as a sticker, but I don't know if anyone randomly want to buy a bloody key. Up next is Grimoire. So I did this entire page. I think once again it looks better as a sketch than it does as a finished piece. I think I was too focused on making sure that it was like perfectly straight or that the lighting made sense, and I think it looks better here. I kind of prefer it this way. I don't know. So for number 12, I wasn't really thinking of making anything like new specifically, so I didn't really have a lot of sketches of it outside of like 2 or 3, because I knew going in that I just wanted it to be a companion piece to this one that I did in October, I want to say 2021, because every year for October I also do an art challenge, except I usually do 13, and one of them was the evil queen from Snow White. I essentially just color picked from this image to make this one, and I like it. I, once again, don't think it's going to be like a sticker or anything, but eventually I'd like to maybe put it next to this one on my character design board of my portfolio. I just like them together. Going back a few pages, because I actually put this one on this page to kind of conserve space, I did axe. So there are a few axes in mythology that I probably could have drawn instead, but I don't know. Like, I didn't want to try to figure out how to make it work. If I didn't like it, I wasn't going to do it. I do have sketches in here of quite a few different ones, and ultimately I was just like, no, I want to make a cute little candy axe. And so I like to think that it's connected to a completely different drawing that I want to eventually do, because I do have sketches of it in here, but right now it just doesn't make sense by itself. I do think it could be a really cute sticker though. Let's say that it exists in a world where everything is made out of candy and move on. The next one was Holy Grail. I think it's very clear I mainly did this based off of the line from Indiana Jones.
It would not be made out of gold.
That's the cup of a carpenter.
And I think I overdid it with this one. I think it looked really cute when it was just the sketch, and then I went over it in pen and I started to make little like mistakes, like maybe I accidentally made this too high, but I did it in pen, so there's no going back. And then I tried to fix it by adding stuff in the background, but that just kind of further accentuated the situation. And then I tried to add highlighter to like try to make it very clear that this one's the most important one. It's ugly. It's ugly. But I think I'm allowed an ugly page every now and then. I'm gonna keep it because it has potential, right? Maybe I could redo this digitally and make it as clean as possible, but I think this is definitely one of the ones that I should have done digitally and then didn't for some reason. And so now it's just kind of ugly. But A+ for effort, because it's my sketchbook and I get to grade myself. The 15th one is a redemption. The 15th one is Mermaid Tears. Now, when I originally planned the prompt list, I was thinking of Mermaid Tears as more of an object. I was kind of thinking of it like that scene in Pirates of the Caribbean where it's a little vial, like a single tear. I was thinking of it in terms of like maybe like making like a D&D style card or something, or the potion bottle that I did for Elixir of Life. It is Copic marker, gel pens, that regular fine tip pen that I've been using, Posca pen tears, and I think whiteout. I wanted the tears to sort of resemble pearls a little bit, and then I drew her and I was like, something's missing, and I did the same thing that I did in my Thor's hammer drawing. So I did like a little shape in the background and I did like water patterns with a regular blue pen, and I think it's really nice. I genuinely really like it. I think this could be like a cute little print. Skipping to the next one, we have the 16th prompt, which is Hermes' sandals. And if you saw the typo in the original prompt list, no, you didn't. For Hermes sandals, I wanted to be something really simple because I knew going in it was just going to be like a little sketchbook thing. And I wanted to do it in black and white. And if I added any color, it was going to be just like a yellow highlighter, which I did end up doing. I drew shoes with wings on them. It's really not much to it. I did specifically look at like paintings of Hermes, and I preferred the sandals that had kind of like something on top where the wing would be, and I liked when they had something for like where the ankle is on the sandal. Overall, I think it's cute. It's not much about it really. After that was bow and arrow, and I did debate making two versions of bow and arrow because I have a ton of sketches, and one of them was focusing more on like Cupid bow and arrow, so I was thinking of like hearts, love core, pink and red, and I wanted it kind of to connect to the axe that I had already drawn. But then I thought about Artemis and I saw this painting. I ended up making this like moon inspired bow, and I wanted the arrows to kind of be like little stars in the night sky, kind of like little comets. The next one was Wizard Staff. With Wizard Staff, once again, super vague prompt, which I enjoyed. And so I have a bunch of little tiny sketches, but I ended up connecting several prompts together. So I wanted to use the same color scheme and the same materials. And so I ended up going for like a very like woodsy kind of staff. I did like a Lord of the Rings extended edition marathon during a depression week. So you get this. I like the idea of it being like an orb. Not that kind of orb, but like orb. The next one was instrument, and when I think of like instruments in mythology, I think of Orpheus. More modern ones have a very specific feel, but if you look at like old, like ancient versions of that instrument, some of them are made from like turtle shells or just like really big rocks or something. They have like a more rustic looking vibe. And then I just added in text from Epic number 3 from Hades Town. I really would like to do this, like go over it in like magazine letters, but for right now I really love this. Prompt number 20 was Bag of Winds, and I did the same thing that I did for Pandora's Box, and I kind of feel the same way, where I think the original sketch had a bit more charm than what I ended up doing. But I think in this case, both are good, because I didn't like the sketch as much as I liked the one for Pandora's Box. I think that's just what I get for choosing Bag of Winds. Bag of Winds. I tried. So the next one is Hourglass, and that's pretty standard. If I'm gonna be really honest with you, I'm pretty sure the only references that I had on Pinterest were standard hourglass, perhaps like an hourglass in a movie scene, you know? Images of Father Time, and the one from Netflix's Pinocchio, so like the Guillermo del Toro like angel hourglass. That's about it. Prompt 22 was Excalibur, and here I went all out. I think usually when I make these prompt lists, I know pretty early on which ones I want to turn into a full illustration. I do play favorites with my prompt list, right? Because sometimes there's like sneaks in there that you're like, wow, I'm really smart, I'm really clever, I really drew that. But sometimes I like to throw myself a bone, you know? There's a lot of drawings in here. I might as well like one of them in case the worst scenario happens where I hate literally all the other ones. I really just wanted to draw the Lady of the Lake. I really like just her coming out of this like kind of greenish blue water. And I ended up doing a gradient thing for this. I don't usually work with gradients, but I saw a tutorial recently, and so I thought I'd experiment. So I drew this all out in black and white, and then I did gradients over it, and then I tweaked those gradients on top of that. And I really like the way that she came out. I love her. I like zooming in on her, and I specifically like the way that the hands came out. So prompt 23 was Magic Belt, and I ended up drawing Dorothy Yale from the Wizard of Oz books. Now, you're probably wondering why that is, and here's the thing. When I saw the prompt Magic Belt, I did have a couple of options, right? I think in my research, I found ones from Norse mythology. I found ones from like other, like maybe an Arthurian legend or something. I thought about maybe doing like a superhero thing, like maybe superheroes can count as modern day mythology. I thought of making my own for like the sake of it, just to like combine it with some other things, because that's been a lot of the fun part of doing all these prompts. But I have been on a Wizard of Oz journey, because how many books do you think there are? How many? Just quickly. Because fun fact, the original author wrote 14 Wizard of Oz books. And then after that, there's quite a few more. I originally asked for the Wizard of Oz books thinking that there were like 5 of them at most, only to get a 15-book box set for Christmas, which I have been plowing through since February. I am on the last one written by the original author, so I'm on the 14th one. And one thing that I've really been thinking about is making an entire video where I just talk about them, because outside of harassing my friend, I have no one else to talk about this to, and it's a lot of lore. It's a lot of lore, it's a lot of information, mainly because L. Frank Baum is the kind of man that doesn't care about continuity, and so things make no sense. Am I having a good time? Yes. If you haven't seen the 1980s dark fantasy Return to Oz that Disney made, I suggest you do that. It's not accurate to the book because they combine, I want to say, 2 and 3 books after the first one together, so it's not really accurate to the book, but it is weird. And you'll get introduced to a character called the Gnome King.
You didn't come back. Leave.
The Gnome King, I have learned to hate. I can't describe why. He's just always there, and he gets on my last nerve, and I hate him. I really do. But he is a reoccurring character, and I want to use the word steal, but I don't think that's appropriate given the context. But let's just say Dorothy takes his magic belt from him, and then she uses it frequently in the books. And so since I was already reading all of those books by the time I started drawing, I figured, well, why not just draw Dorothy Gale and her magic belt? And that's pretty much it. Prompt number 24 is probably my favorite one of the entire group. It is Trident. Wanted to just draw like a weapon or something. And I've noticed that whenever I show people this mermaid, they call her like an evil mermaid. Who said that? What if she's just defending her home? You don't know her like I know her. I love her and her feminine rage. She was so fun to draw. I gave her like a little belly. Fantastic. And I gave her like a nosebleed. I will probably do like a mini print of this just to see if people like it. But I personally, I adore her. I want to give her a name. And if you guys can think of a name, please drop it in the comments because I want to give her a name so bad. Prompt number 25 was Amulet, and really I just wanted to do like one of those pages in my sketchbook where it's all black and white and like little tiny things. I do this a lot when I do my gallery wall pages where I just do like a bunch of paintings or something. And you know, I had a good time. It was just fun. I looked at things that are considered amulets and I didn't want to just draw one, so I did a couple. So I have, for example, I have a rabbit's foot. Yeah, I have 2 like eyeballs, a little clump of hair, a chicken leg, a few like gems, some buttons. I snuck in the little ring from Coraline, and I have a wolf's vein and like a little bow. I just used a pen, a Sharpie, and a white gel pen, and we're good. 26 was Love Potion, and that's the one that I decided to combine with Elixir of Life because I had more of an idea of what I was going to do for Love Potion, and I figured I could put them side by side, and I decided to do them digitally on Procreate. And so Love Potion, what I really wanted to do was like one of those crystal bottles that kind of look like a heart, and I wanted it to look like it had like a wax seal on top of it. Does not make sense for it to have that. I just thought it would look really pretty because I saw some wine bottles that have like a wax seal that's sort of dripping. I just wanted it to feel really ominous because I think with love potions, whenever they're presented in media, they're kind of like seen as like cutesy little things. It's usually like a gag, like, oh, she won't stop chasing this boy around. But I think love potions should have more dark consequences in fiction because it's a question of consent. And so I like the idea of the wax kind of looking bloody and creepy. And then on top of it is kind of like that little like stopper that you can take out. And it is a heart that's upside down so that the top is really pointy. I wanted the inside to look more red when I originally drew it out, but then I didn't like the way that it looked inside the glass, and so I made it really pink. So I kind of wanted it to be like nauseatingly pink. The power went off. Oh. So yeah, I really like them next to each other here, and I really like them next to each other on the thing. So I don't know if I will turn them into individual stickers or if I will turn them into a print. Please ignore the power going on and off. It's done it multiple times in this video. I don't know if I'm going to keep it in any of the shots, but that's how I'm living my life. So prompt number 27 was Vampire Hunting Kit, mainly because these aren't real. Stop putting them in historical boards. They're not real. But anyway, I really like them because they're just so whimsical. Sometimes I'll see it like a little coffin-shaped shelf full of like, you know, holy water and rosaries or something, or I'll see it in like a violin case for no reason. So like I like to imagine Van Helsing just having like a lot of random upcycled cases that he keeps, that he just shoves his stuff into. Very Dean Winchester of him. And so I kind of just made like a vintage style suitcase. I originally did these in Affinity and I had a completely different color palette for it, but then I ended up just turning it in black and white and changing everything. And I like that I ended up going for like a kind of dark pink and a green together. What I included in it is a magnifying glass, I think a knife and a dagger, but like 2 weapons. I have a bunch of like crucifixes or rosaries. I have a mirror because, you know, can't see the reflection. I have a Bible. I have a bunch of holy water. I have an axe for head chopping, wooden stakes, a hammer for those wooden stakes, a mallet, you know, random assorted vials, garlic, and I have garlic flowers. And then on the outside of the suitcase, it's like, you know, dingy, and it's got a little bat wing where you hold it. Very impractical. The vampires would be able to spot you a mile away, but it's so goth. Going back a few pages, prompt number 28 is unicorn horn. This is another one that I made digitally. I wanted to draw Lady Amalthea really bad. So I have read The Last Unicorn twice now. I want to reread it again someday. I love that book very much. Now, obviously, I think most people are very familiar with the animated movie. I do hate some things about the animated movie. But overall, I think the animated movie is stunning. I watch it a lot whenever I want like inspiration. I think she's a very tragic character, and I love women who have a sense of sadness. And then I wanted to draw like the unicorn horn on top of her, kind of like not on, but like always present. She's not taking being a person well. And I love her for that, because same. Prompt number 29 is Crystal Ball, and that's the third one of the little drawings that I did in the same page. So it's connected to the wizard staff and it's connected to the hourglass. They're all the same color palette. They're all very simplistic. And then for the crystal ball, I really just wanted to have like kind of like a face on the inside. Prompt number 30 is Gauntlet. I thought of a few different things. I thought of making my own based off of actual armor. I thought of the armor that Sauron wears in Lord of the Rings. I thought of the Infinity Gauntlet, so I can do a bunch of little gems. I thought of a few of them, but then eventually I just ended up settling on making something like from my own imagination. And so I ended up doing like an eye that can like see everything, and I have like these little gems everywhere, and I have like little blood drips that kind of look like gems too. And it was really simple. I only used a black pen, a yellow highlighter, a pink fine tip pen, and red Posca paint. This could definitely be a sticker or like a mini print. And then my last prompt is Thunderbolts. I don't think I registered that Thunderbolt was the last one because I think I did it like in the middle. And usually I really like to end strong. But Thunderbolt is nice. It's simplistic. I kind of just drew like a shape, a basic shape in my sketchbook. I really didn't have many variations of it either because I didn't know how to represent a Thunderbolt the way that I liked it without it being like the stereotypical little zigzag. I wanted it to look like a patch. I think if I do end up going over it, I might add more texture to make it actually look like maybe it's embroidery or something. But for now, this is Thunderbolts. So yeah, this is my mythological May prompt list, and these are all the finished ones that I did in my sketchbook or that I eventually clipped in. And I am really proud of them because considering I usually give myself so much pressure to do all of these, I did these really quickly in a few days, and I'm really proud of them. Some of them are very simple, but because I gave myself like more chill vibe this year, I think I came out with quite a few ones that, while simple, I am really proud of. I hope you enjoyed my annual Mythological May challenge. I don't know if I'm going to do it next year just because I think Mythological May is such a vague thing, and I've already pumped out so many random ones. I do have a list already because whenever I make a list, I make like a bunch of little terms and then try to see if I can stick them into next year's list if I don't use them this time. So I definitely have some for next year if I want to. but I think I might come up with a new plan next year. So I don't know if you guys want to like give me any ideas, but overall Mythological May is really helpful to me. It helps me think of stuff to do. It helps me get out of an art block whenever I've been working for so long, and I really like what I've been able to do, and hopefully you guys did also. I am hopefully going to be doing more videos soon. I wasn't able to do them in a while because I was swamped with like Comic-Con, and then I had my job, and then I was working on illustration work, and now I think this happens to most people who try to do freelance. Now it's kind of crickets for a little bit. I don't know when my next fair is at the moment, and so I think I'm gonna try to be able to actually finish those other videos that I said I was going to finish and then I never did. Thank you for watching, and I'll hopefully come back with other videos soon. I promise. Don't use this clip against me if I don't come back for another 2 months. Bye!